It's Platt, and today we try an American twist on a Belgian classic. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So the particular beer we have today comes to us from New Belgium Brewing. It is their Belgium Trippel. Now we tried a triple the previous video, so I thought it'd be a nice little compare and contrast between the Belgian style and the American attempt at it. A little background onto New Belgium. New Belgium Brewing was founded in 1991 in Fort Collins, Colorado by Jeff Liebisch and Kim Jordan. The story actually goes back to 1988 when the couple took a bike trip through Belgium and kind of rode through the countryside, and every once in a while they'd stop and have a local farmhouse ale or the local beer. And they were so impressed by that beer they thought, we need to take this back to Colorado. Thus the dream was born. And the dream came true in 1991 when they first started building out a brewery in their basement. That was their original location, was in the basement. Zoning laws were probably a little different back then, to say the least. Move ahead to June that year, and it's finally time for them to sell to the public. Their first time selling their beer came at the Colorado Brew Festival that year, and they released two beers. An Abbey Ale, which of course stayed in tradition with the Belgian theme, and their Fat Tire Amber Ale, which ended up becoming their flagship beer and the beer that most people know them for today. Move ahead a couple years to 1993, and they win gold at the Great American Beer Fest for their Abbey Ale. 30-something years ago, the Belgian styles of beer were not that prominent, so this is kind of a big deal. It really kind of helped them stick out from, if I remember right at the time, just pale ales were kind of the thing. When in the late 80s and early 90s when the first microbrewery thing came through. Move ahead to 1995, and things are really starting to move for them to the point where it's time to move out of the basement and get a proper location, and they move to the location they're still at today. Now, the brewery's grown over the years, but they're still at that location. Move ahead to 1999, and New Belgium always prided themselves as a company that wanted to take care of the employees and give them unique perks and do unique things. And that's what they did that year when they introduced a line of cruisers. You know, these bikes that you see on the beach or wherever. They branded their own line of New Belgian these cruisers, and they started giving them to employees that had worked there a year. So once you had your first anniversary, you got a new cruiser bike, which is kind of a cool story. Move ahead to 2013, and they take it up a notch on the employee relation thing, because in 2013, the employees bought the company. They had had what's called an ESOP, employee stock option program, for a while, and by 2013, the employees had gained enough shares where they became the owners of the brewery. Now, like a lot of owners, though, eventually time to get paid, and that came in 2019 when they sold the brewery to a subsidiary of Kirin. It's their Australian subsidiary, and so Big Beer took over. And like Big Beer loves to do, they like to tweak things. And last year in 2023, apparently they tweaked the recipe on Fat Tire Amber Ale. They made it a little lighter in color beer, a little crisper, probably something a little more mass market appeal. Today, New Belgium is distributed nationwide and in major markets in Europe and Asia. As far as their line of beers goes, a decent sized line of beers. They kind of specialize in some of these Belgian style beers and IPAs, but they have a little bit of everything going on. First is Fat Tire, 5.2% ABV. That is the flagship beer. I have not tried the new formulation, so I'm definitely going to have to keep my eye out for that. I do remember always enjoying Fat Tire. I kind of like the amber ales. I like just the flavors those darker malts at, so I'm definitely got to try the new version. Next is Voodoo Ranger, 7% ABV. This is their flagship IPA. It gained such traction that they've kind of created a separate line for it. I believe there's 8 beers under the Voodoo Ranger line. You know, they do hazies and imperial IPAs, stuff like that. Next is Mountain Time, 4.4% ABV. This is their regular guy beer. I've talked about this in other videos, but I think it's something smart a craft brewer could do, is create that just a nice all malt lager, golden lager that's just very easily drinkable. And again, kind of works, with that Colorado mountain lifestyle. Lastly is 1554, 6% ABV. This unique beer, Style-wise, it's referred to as a Zwart, which is a Flemish dark beer. Also, too, they don't utilize hops. They utilize something called Groot that was used to bitter beer before cultivation of hops really became a thing. Well, before we try this particular beer, though, let's check out the stats. All right, let's go ahead and crack this thing open. Give her a nice little pour. All right, plenty of head, got a little aggressive in the pour, clear, plenty of bubbles. Oh yeah, that malt just comes right through there. Again, not a lot of hops on this particular style. We'll let that open up. While I do, time for questions for Platt. If you have a question that you would like me to answer in a video, please send it to plattsboozblog@gmail.com. In the subject line, put questions for Platt. Today's question comes from Plywood Car Johnson. I'm sure there's a story behind that name. And he asked, in reference to winemaking, can you put too much sugar in the juice or in the wine? And where that kind of comes from is a lot of people always ask, how can I bump up the ABV of my homemade wine or whatever? And I always say additional sugar. More fermentables, let the yeast, have more food to convert into alcohol. However, there is a point, and he asked, can you put in too much? And the answer is yes. What happens is, once you put too much sugar in, remember, in juice, it's not all water, and that there's only X amount of HO2 molecules in that solution, and that the sugar gets there first to absorb that. But remember, yeast is also a dry ingredient too, and so when you pitch it in, it needs to rehydrate before it can start to do its work. And if you put too much sugar in, it really does not have a chance to properly hydrate this. The yeast cells really don't get started. So you can put too much sugar in. Plywood, I hope that helped out. All right, let's go ahead and jump in this beer. Looks nice. Boy, I love these Belgian style beers. They really hold that head, plenty of head retention. Just a nice full foamy head. Let's go ahead and dive in. Oh, that's nice. To compare with the Chimay White that we tried in the previous video, little lighter body to me. However, the yeast have produced even more funky flavors. Yeah, body-wise, it's a little easier drinking. I compared the Chimay White to like a European style all malt lager. This, again, a little lighter than that, a little easier drinking. ABV, I think ABV, I think this like 0.5% higher, so about the same. I do notice it going down, a slight warming. But yeah, a little more funky flavors. Yeah, this one that I think if you get a new beer drinker to try this, body-wise, they'll like it. They may have to adjust to drinking higher ABV beers, but the flavor's going to really, whoa, that's different, Now, on the funky flavors, I'm not... A hint of like if you ever had like a Belgian Saison or Farmhouse, I get a little bit of that in there, not prominent. I don't get, I talked last time about like banana and clove, and sometimes you'll get that in some of these Belgians. I'm not necessarily picking that up, but nice little funky flavor, easy drinking body. Again, kind of get that warming. It's a nice beer. I don't know if I'm going to go out of the way to go back and get it though. But I think overall, though, a decently executed beer. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you'd like me to try, please put them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.